For instance, on the issue of freedom, which is the best veneer that has been put on American exploits and adventures outside of America. There's a wonderful book that any one of you who has anything to do with who really want to understand the notion of freedom, on the history of the concept of freedom in American political discourse. And it's written by a white guy, Eric Foner, who is a professor of history at Columbia, and it's been out since 2001. There is nothing surprising, in other words, about the way in which freedom and the vocabulary of freedom and the semantic apparatus of the concept of freedom has been, the way in which it has been employed in Iraq and elsewhere in the Bush administration. It is very much a part of a historical process, and on coming to the fore in various facets of American public life, not just in the presidency. So that, by way of conclusion, what I think is what's coming out of the confrontation with Iran is that we are faced. I mean, the we is problematic. People are faced with the situation in which you are forced to deal now with a culture that has produced knowledge on itself for the past 1,400 years. Now, what happens is that, in that sense, it is different from Latin America, for instance. You who write on Iran, or write on the Islamic world, or write on Al-Qaeda, you will have to know it, and you have to know it on its own terms, because otherwise there's going to be an Iranian revolution, February 1979 is going to be repeated through and through and through and through in American history. You're going to wake up one day and it's going to be, whoops, there was a revolution where we thought was an island of stability. It's not, I mean, Carter is not particularly uneducated, he's not particularly thick-headed. The entire foreign policy establishment in this country was surprised. And we're surprised with the NIE, right? We're just surprised. We've been surprised all the time. And what surprise really means is that you have no idea what's hitting you and where it's coming from. So that, at the end of the day, I think that, how the best universities in the world, I mean, this country is a jewel in terms of its educational establishment. And then what we do is we have a vice president who has a wife who publishes a list of 101 worst professors, or most threatening, dangerous professors in this country, as valid as ours, and you have no moral standing. And these are the kinds of things, so that, JFK, when JFK was murdered in 1963, the American debates on JFK and his presidency and the evaluation of all the conspiracies that surrounded him was an American phenomenon. But Iran-Contra and what's going on now with the NIE is much more of a global phenomenon. And the consequences of that, everybody else is sort of quicker to understand the real sort of range of the ramifications than Americans are. So I think that it is really a moment of reckoning in the history of this country. And I'm hopeful. I'm a lot more hopeful than I think anybody else, but that just may be sheer ignorance about the American system, no matter what I profess. But I think that the complete discongruence is dawning on a whole bunch of areas, and we will see the good results of that.